All right, let's jump right into this explainer and completely flip how we think about safety, risk, and human error. Whether you're operating in a super high-stakes industry like aviation or healthcare, or honestly, you're just navigating the everyday complexities of modern life, the way we've all been taught to view safety is probably completely backward. Today, we're tossing out those old, outdated paradigms to build a modern, evidence-based understanding of what it actually means to be safe.
Today, we're pulling our insights from a really fascinating academic course guide called Safety Management for Loss Prevention, developed by the National Open University of Nigeria. It gives us this incredibly structured, authoritative look at safety management, and it borrows from all sorts of diverse fields. We're talking everything from international aviation regulations to healthcare ethics. So we're getting a really comprehensive, global perspective on exactly how complex systems prevent catastrophic loss.
Here is our game plan for this explainer. We'll kick things off by looking at the illusion of perfect safety, then break down the actual equation of risk. After that, we'll map out the global safety ecosystem, talk about what it takes to build a genuine safety culture, and wrap up with how we can actually manage inevitable human mistakes.
Okay, Section 1. The illusion of perfect safety. Let's just go ahead and shatter a massive myth right out of the gate. So let me ask you this directly. In any high-stakes industry, or really even just in your daily life, is it ever possible to be 100% safe? Think about it. When we board an airplane or check into a hospital, the public expectation is pretty much zero accidents, zero errors. We expect absolute, total freedom from danger. But when you look at the gritty reality of complex systems, is that expectation even remotely realistic?
The short answer? Absolutely not. Zero accidents is, frankly, a total fantasy. Failures and errors are going to happen, in spite of our very best efforts. And this brilliantly illustrates a key point. Safety is not the absence of danger. It's just not. Rather, safety is the active, continuous management of acceptable risk. I really want to emphasize that. Safety is a state where the risk of harm is reduced to and maintained at an acceptable level. This is a huge paradigm shift for most of us. It means we have to stop chasing this impossible dream of zero risk and start actively managing the hazards that are already around us.
Moving right along to Section 2, the equation of risk. Since we now know safety is all about managing risk, we really need to figure out how to measure it. Here's a fantastic analogy from the text to help wrap our heads around this. Imagine the probability of a supporting cable failing on a massive 100-passenger cable car is exactly the same as the probability of a cable failing on a standard 12-passenger elevator. The likelihood of the event happening is identical in both scenarios, but would you ever view the risk as being the same? Of course not. Because even if the odds of the cable snapping are exactly the same, plunging off a mountain in a fully loaded cable car is obviously way more catastrophic than a standard elevator dropping. This means risk is always a two-dimensional equation that we have to balance. It's the combination of the likelihood of something happening plus the severity of its potential consequences. So when an organization sits down to decide if a risk is acceptable, they aren't just looking at how often things might go wrong. They are looking at how truly catastrophic it will be when they eventually do.
Let's look at Section 3, the global safety ecosystem. So if absolute 100% safety is off the table, who actually gets to decide what level of risk is acceptable? Let's zoom out a bit.
Over the years, industries have gone through this massive paradigm shift. Historically, the traditional perspective was super reactive, extremely rule-focused, and honestly pretty punitive. Wait for an accident to happen, investigate who broke the rules, and punish them. Simple, right? But by the late 1970s, accident rates totally leveled off. To push safety any further, we needed a modern perspective. This new approach is proactive. It focuses on the entire system rather than just hunting for an individual scapegoat to blame. It actively hunts for hazards in everyday normal operations before an accident ever gets the chance to happen.
And this proactive mindset creates a vast global safety ecosystem. It's brilliantly illustrated by the aviation industry. In this ecosystem, every single stakeholder has a distinct interlocking responsibility. It's not all just riding on the pilot's shoulders. You have the International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO, setting the global baseline standards. Then, individual states and governments create the actual regulatory frameworks and oversight. Manufacturers step in to design the safe equipment and monitor how it holds up in service. And finally, the operators and airlines are executing the day-to-day safety management systems. It's this incredibly interdependent web. If one single link fails, the whole shebang is compromised.
Which brings us to Section 4, building a safety culture. Because at the end of the day, even with the best global rules and oversight, you've still got human beings involved in the day-to-day operations.
There's this incredibly powerful quote from our source guide that just hits the nail on the head. An organization will never improve its process if it believes its people are the problem. Let that sink in for a second. When an error occurs, our immediate human instinct is to ask, who did this? But systems theory affirms that most errors actually aren't caused by negligence. They're caused by underlying latent flaws hidden in the system that create an error-prone environment. If you just punish the frontline worker, you're leaving that dangerous system exactly as it is, just waiting in the shadows to trap the next person.
So, instead of punishing individuals, a real safety culture transforms an organization into a learning organization. This means you have to build an open, non-punitive reporting environment. Think about it. If workers are terrified of being fired, they're just going to hide their mistakes, which drives all your critical safety data underground. You also need shared responsibility and interdisciplinary teamwork where the normal hierarchy is flattened out so anyone, literally anyone, can feel comfortable speaking up. Plus, you need to integrate evidence-based knowledge. In healthcare, for instance, this means relying on scientifically proven guidelines, not just doing things the way they've always been done.
Finally, Section 5, Managing Human Fallibility. Let's zoom in on the psychology of the frontline worker and see how we can actually design environments that account for them. Honestly, this might be the single most crucial point in the entire explainer. We cannot change the human condition, but we can change the conditions under which humans work. Human factors theory accepts a fundamental, unavoidable truth. Humans get tired. We get distracted. We miscommunicate. We make mistakes. It's hardwired into us. You cannot train the humanity out of a person. Therefore, instead of demanding flawless perfection from the human, we have to demand perfection from the design of the environment around them.
We achieve this kind of resilience through a very clear three-step process. Number one, we design systems that compensate for those predictable human weaknesses. We literally make it difficult to do the wrong thing. Number two, we make errors highly visible. If a mistake happens, alarms should sound, or the process should automatically stop, so it can be intercepted immediately. And number three, we develop mitigation strategies for when the error inevitably slips through all our defenses anyway. It's all about designing a world that expects and absorbs our flaws. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. When something goes wrong in your own organization, or in your business, or even your community, what is the immediate gut reaction? Are people out hunting for a scapegoat to blame, or are they actively hunting for the systemic flaw that allowed the error to happen in the first place? Remember, 100% safety is a total illusion, but a 100% commitment to learning and preventing the next failure, now that is entirely within our grasp.